One of the big platforms for communicating with influence as a manager and a leader are through meetings. And we have different types of meetings, be they one-on-one meetings, group meetings, video meetings, face-to-face meetings, phone meetings. There's a number of different ways that these meetings can occur, but the form of these meetings remains the same. So it's important that we stop and step through what makes an effective meeting and what we should be doing as leaders and managers to ensure that our meetings are effective and that we're getting our message through, um, or getting the right information that we're after, or both. There's generally four different steps or stages to an effective meeting. One, preparing the meeting. Two, opening the meeting. Three, controlling the meeting. And then four, closing the meeting. I'm breaking these up into three topics. This particular topic, this one we're going to talk about preparing the meeting for the meeting. Then at the next one, we'll look at opening and controlling the meeting, and then we'll look at closing the meeting. So let's kick off by looking at the preparing the meeting. In the preparation phase, we really decide whether we need to have a meeting or not. Do I need to have this meeting? So what's the purpose of the meeting? What's the outcome? What specifically do I want to get out of this meeting? Everybody's time is valuable. And, one of the constant mistakes, or one of the constant bits of feedback that we get in workplaces is that, we have too many meetings and half the time they're not even necessary. And, this could have been discussed through an email or, some other form. So having a meeting for meeting's sake is not really that valuable. And there are cases where there was one multinational company where they had a new uh, senior executive come in, and there was an ongoing weekly meeting that would happen, and this is way before COVID, and it turned out that this weekly meeting would cost them hundreds of thousands because it was multinational, and in some cases people would have to fly in for this meeting and so forth, and accommodation and just time, salary versus time spent in the meetings and so forth, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the executive said, why are we having this meeting? And no one could give a definitive answer other than because we've always had them. So the first thing we need to decide in terms of the preparation phase is, do we need to have this meeting? And that often goes hand in glove with what's the purpose, what's the outcome that we need to achieve, who needs to be there, what roles they need to play, and then what needs to be discussed in terms of the agenda. And then all that sort of feeds into this idea of, well, is a meeting the only way that we can do it? Is it the best way to do it? Is it the best form of information? Of course, we know meetings are great because it's a quick way of sharing information. It's a consistent message. So if I'm chairing the meeting and I'm sharing information, you're all going to get the same information apart from different interpretations by individuals. And if you're going to discuss a topic in the meeting, everybody's going to get the same message from you and so forth. So we go through the preparation phase. We think about whether it's necessary. We think about what success looks like. At the end of this meeting, it'll be successful if we've made these decisions and we've got this course of action and these people have signed off on it. Well, yep, that's success. That's the purpose and the objective of our meeting. And then we can start to set the agenda around that. And the agenda is really about the different topics that we need to go through. So when we set an agenda, we think about the objective. What is it that we want to achieve? When's the best time to have this meeting, day or night? And that depends on when we're busy, in the morning or in PM in the afternoon. Is it we're quieter then? Also depends on if it is, particularly if you've got remote participants, what time is it in their time zones? Are we best energy wise in the morning or the afternoon? What's going on in terms of our workload and so forth? We also think about how much time people have available, and that will also feed into how much time the agenda items have. By rule of thumb, no more than 5 topics should be discussed or subjects should be discussed at a meeting. Any more than 5, and people start to really struggle to stay focused and hold their attention. So I said we come up with a clear purpose and an outcome, and who needs to participate in that. We identify if anything can be handled outside of the meeting so as to streamline the agenda as much as possible. We then determine the best type of meeting. What's the medium to use? Are we going to make it face-to-face, conference, video conference, Skype, GoTo, Hangouts? What's the best one? We draft an agenda, so we start to write things down. This is the topics. This is who's going to introduce those topics. We also might have any other business or a follow-up on previous minutes if that's required and so forth. And then we make sure the logistics are right. So if it's going to be a face-to-face, that we've got the room and all the equipment. If it's a video call, that everyone's got the capacity in terms of the technology and the bandwidth to do it. And an agenda might be as simple as 1 or 2 page document that outlines the timing, the location, who's chairing it, who's attending it, what the purpose is. You might even put things such as objectives, or if there are any other notes that you want in terms of people need to read beforehand or prepare beforehand. And you can even do that by topic. So for a general meeting, so if it's a planning meeting, you might say, okay, generally speaking, everybody needs to be across a strategic plan before they come to this meeting. If it's a general business meeting and one of the items is planning, then on that topic, you might say, we need everybody to bring a copy of their operational plan to the meeting. So you put down the attendees and the purpose or the objective, if that's relevant, and then you break down those topics. So you can see here the key topics are welcome, project update, the team status, management updates, other business, close, and each of these subjects or topics have been given a time, and they've been given individuals who are going to talk through those. And then any additional information goes on the back. And that's a fairly straightforward agenda. You don't want to overcomplicate it. You just want to make it as short and sharp as it needs to be without sacrificing precision, so that everybody understands what are we going to be discussing, how long are we going to be discussing that topic, what's my role in that, what do I need to bring, where it's going to be, who's chairing it, who else is attending, and so forth. Once we've done the draft of the agenda, then it's always a good idea, if you have the opportunity, to send it out and see if anybody wants to add or adjust anything. So you may have participants in the meeting who come back and say, oh, I'd also like to add this into the meeting. And then you can have a discussion on whether it ties in with the general purpose and objective, or whether it's something that can be discussed outside of the meeting. You can then go through, once you've got the feedback, you can assess the priority of what goes first and what goes last, and make any adjustments as required, and then circulate the updated agenda so that everybody's got a copy before the meeting starts. That's the ideal process.